Recently built and never actually lived in, an MSF team took over this house in the middle of June and turned it into a hospital.
We
managed to turn this house into a hospital with about 15 hospital beds, an intensive care unit with 3 or 4 beds, a recovery room, an operating theatre, a small lab and a sterilisation unit.
Most of the patients are men with conflict-related injuries caused by tank shelling and bombing. This patient, who is 17, was shot in the back 18 days ago. After being operated on somewhere, imprisoned and then released, he managed to get to the MSF hospital. The seriousness of his abdominal injuries meant that he absolutely had to have more surgery.
It's possible that he may require an additional operation if he continues to put out a lot from the fistula, it doesn't close, and he develops any complications. So he has a difficult road ahead.
Some 20% of the wounded are children and young people under the age of 20. Between 5% and 10% are women. Along with emergency cases, MSF also treats patients whose conditions have stabilized.
We also get patients who arrive in a stable condition but with complications. For example, we see patients with infections related to the poor conditions during previous treatment in clandestine structures set up by doctors from the opposition.
The fighting, the difficulties with obtaining supplies and the lack of ambulances are all challenges that need to be overcome. But the hospital is definitely functional, and the team has already performed 224 operations. The Yida refugee camp is overwhelmed. There were 17,000 people in March and there are now over 55,000. In the face of such a huge emergency, MSF has increased its hospital bed capacity and quadrupled the number of international staff.
When I arrived to the camp in June, we had these 3 tents here, and that was the entire hospital. Now we are operating a hospital of 80 plus beds with 14 tents. So we've grown quite a bit in the last 2.5 months.
Every week, MSF treats over 3,000 patients who are either hospitalized or receiving outpatient care. The situation has improved and the mortality rate has dropped to 2%. The most common victims are children under the age of 5, as it is they who are the most vulnerable. More than half the children suffering from malnutrition have to be hospitalized.
We are seeing a lot of children here who have concomitant medical problems along with their malnutrition, which makes the problem even larger. So cases of children coming in under 5 years old with upper respiratory tract infections, conjunctivitis, and a lot of acute watery diarrhea make it very difficult for these young children, these infants, to gain weight and keep that weight on.
Ongoing vigilance is called for to improve living conditions. MSF is working with other organizations to improve the water supply, sanitation and hygiene in the camp. MSF is now supplying 80,000 litres of clean, chlorinated water a day and is building public latrines.
Ill diseases are caused by hygiene, almost always, basically because of so many people living in this small area and not having access to clean water, not having access to soap.
1,000 new arrivals settle in the camp every week. MSF has managed to reduce the mortality rate, but it cannot afford to let up, because the population in Yida is still living in very poor conditions. At the end of April, because they refused to leave Ad Amazin where there were gold mining opportunities, the Ethiopian authorities started to deny the refugees access to humanitarian aid. Over the summer, 12,000 of them were transferred to a new camp near Bambasi, more than 100 kilometers from the Sudanese border. The others were said to have decided to return to Sudan. Deprived of food aid and health care for more than 2 months, close to a quarter of the under 5-year-olds arrived at Bambasi suffering from acute malnutrition. Having vaccinated the new arrivals against measles, MSF opened a therapeutic feeding centre in the new camp. The organisation will be distributing nutritional supplements to the most vulnerable until the situation stabilises.
Cholera, I really felt it bad. It happens to me that as if I'm a dead man.
Alfred is gradually recovering after being cared for in an MSF cholera treatment centre. Like other badly affected patients, when he first arrived, he was suffering from profuse diarrhoea, vomiting and stomach cramps.
They are crying of cramps. Their feet, even their hands, they are cramping. They are falling out. They got dizziness. Some of them say, I want to die. I'm tired. I'm tired of this disease.
In Freetown and Conakry, the capitals of Sierra Leone and Guinea, over 13,000 people infected with cholera have had to be admitted to hospital. Population density and poor hygiene in the slums and urban areas have contributed to the spread of the disease.
In the city of Conakry, we see a really high number of cases every day, and that means almost 100 new cases a day. So we are working with Médecins Sans Frontières to provide appropriate care in the cholera treatment centers that have been set up in Conakry.
The MSF teams have increased the number of treatment centres and have already treated close to 8,000 patients in the two countries. Over 99% of patients treated in MSF facilities recover from the disease. Stringent protection measures and airtight clothing. Ebola hemorrhagic fever is a highly contagious virus. The medical teams adapt to the situation in order to provide the best possible care.
One idea for the nursing staff in particular, and for the clinical officers and doctors, is sometimes to write your name across the front, because it helps the patient, you make more contact with the patient.
The virus, which is fatal in around 60% of cases, is transmitted through contact with bodily fluids such as blood, stools and vomit. There is still no specific treatment for the virus. Kiza, who is a nurse, has come to offer his services. He and his 3 children contracted the virus in 2007, and they all survived.
The message I can tell the people is that personal protection is the most important thing, by hand washing with soap or chlorinated water before you touch yourself, more especially around the mouth, around the nose, around the eyes. Because this Ebola is not an airborne disease, but it is a direct contact.
Okay, and we'll show you, and we'll have people there to help.
In order to prevent the epidemic from spreading further, MSF is working with the Ministry of Health to identify, isolate and treat infected patients quickly. The organisation has also been working in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where an Ebola epidemic flared up in August. This is a different strain of the virus and has already killed 14 people. MSF has distributed 2,600 hygiene kits in the province of Bukalan. The organisation is also helping the Ministry of Health with running mobile clinics. In the municipalities of Hagonoy and Kalompet, the MSF team is helping to quickly clean up sites where rubbish and human waste have accumulated. Every year, around 20 typhoons strike the Philippines during the rainy season.